So when you had finals week, I'm sure it wasn't the easiest week of your life. However, I am just curious what you think in regards to, and I'm going to have my opinions on this too, don't worry, guys. What do you think about people kind of going about their week like, oh my God, this is the worst week ever. I'm just so stressed. You know, we've talked about glorifying struggle before this week and we just thought this would be a good topic to flesh out.
Yeah, and it's certainly topical at this time of the year as finals is fresh in everyone's mind right now. But I think the first thing I want to say, just to kind of conceit this argument before we bash on people who are glorifying this struggle, is something I stated to you earlier, is that there is certainly some merit to finals week being stressful.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you break it down statistically, most of your classes, I would say a light finals week is when the final presentation, test, what have you, is worth 20%.
Mm-hmm.
That's
like back in high school. Like high school for me was always, everything was 20% for finals.
Right. It was really, everything was?
Every single class, like the school and district policy was, it was a 20% final for everything.
Oh, wow. See, that's interesting because with college, I mean, I was just throwing that out there as an average because I've had 40, 10, somewhere in there. But there's certainly something worth saying about 20% of your grade being in the last week of 16 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, it's not very evenly distributed. So I think there's certainly a lot on the line in terms of it being difficult. I mean, there's just a lot on, you know, a large part of your grade is in 1/16 of the semester. But I push back on this with the idea that you have those other 15 weeks to prepare and get ready for that 1 week. It's like, you know, it's like the meta exam, right? Like,
yeah. I
mean, I don't know, unless it's not cumulative, but you've had this entire time to get ready for this one exam. It shouldn't feel like it's 1 week, 20% of your grade. It should feel like 16 weeks, 20% of your grade finally coming down to it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I want to go also off of what Chantz said and saying, I don't want to bash on people being stressed during finals week too much. The main topic of the video just kind of conveniently coincides with the time that we're recording it, right? I definitely think that it is difficult when people know that they have all of those things on the line in that 5 to 6 day period mattering on your school, right? Like we have finals from Monday through Saturday. However, I would make the argument in this sense that every class has I don't know if cyclical is the right word, but there's a cycle when it comes to...
Cyclical, yeah.
Yeah, cyclical, is that? Okay. When it comes to the process of when big chunks of grades come out.
Mm-hmm.
However, finals week is the only week where it's labeled like that.
Are you saying it's clearly defined from the start?
It's clearly defined that that's the week that every class has to have that final project, that final exam, that final essay, whatever it is. However, there's a cyclical nature in classes where it happens that midterms aren't midterms aren't an actual thing for our college, right? For our university, we don't have technical midterm week.
Yeah, we don't have a signified week.
Except for cyclically, we do have midterms based on how a lot of the classes go.
Right. I think the only difference is that the stars are never aligned to where all of your midterms are going to be on 1 week.
However, I will make the argument that it's like 1 or 2 that aren't in the same week. That's kind of like mini spread, you know? Maybe it's like a 3 day before, 3 day after, school day wise. And it's like, oh, wow, I don't really have a midterm, so it's not as bad. You know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that different though. If you really break down how studying habits should be and stuff, like a 3 day gap between having one test earlier and 1 day later, yeah, it helps you. But is it really that much different?
Yeah, I don't think it's that much different. And honestly, thinking about how we don't have a defined midterm week, I think my friend that's at the University of Pennsylvania, they do have a defined midterm week in the middle of their semester.
That's interesting.
I wonder if they are more successful or maybe not with having this defined week, because I mean, the same way that people get so intense about finals week, I wonder if people are really ramping up their study habits because they see this clearly defined challenge in front of them. because I feel like with the way that our unofficial midterm season goes, it just seems like weeks 7 through 9, roughly, everyone's like, oh yeah, it seems to be like midterm time. It's like,
yeah,
but no one really, I don't know. It just seems like this kind of long, dull struggle instead of just like I got to work really hard this week and nail it down, you know?
Yeah, I find it interesting because it kind of shows if, I don't know, for me personally, I would prefer the finals week over the midterm non-real week. It kind of reveals a little bit about like what people prefer in regards to intensity of focus and intensity of, I like condensing things. I'm a task batch guy.
I was going to say a finals week is almost a task batch.
It's a task batch of doing a bunch of stuff at once.
Oh, absolutely.
In my opinion, you're in that mindset. I would prefer that for a midterm week. And that's me though. I don't know about whatever you or.
I think I would agree. I think a big thing comes down to is one, if you prefer task batching and just being in that one academic space all at one time. Another thing is just how well you work under stress, or I don't know, maybe not stress is the word, but like when there's a big demand on your plate, is just how well can you step up to the plate and perform on this like, week that gets kind of gassed up and made official by the university.
Yeah, and I think we've kind of made it clear that it's not easy, right? It's not the same as any other week, and there definitely may be more than other weeks. However, I want to talk about this concept that we've talked about with each other before, and I've noticed it growing up. I've noticed it as somebody who puts a lot on their plate on purpose. I have noticed even then not to be like, oh, I have more on my plate than other people, because I'm not sure if that's the case. But the level of like physical rigors I put myself through, the fact that I make myself I enjoy the YouTube stuff, but that takes a lot of time in a week. School takes a fair amount of time in a week, trying to do everything. I try to stray away from the whole, oh my God, I'm so busy route, and expressing it to others in that way.
Right. And I think you're making a good point, is that this is not, we're not trying to talk about just finals week, but we're using this as a springboard to say that there is a phenomena out there of people who are glorifying their struggle or their suffering.
Yeah, on a day-to-day basis.
And a lot of times it's academic, or at least with what we're seeing in this stage of our life. Next will be professional struggle, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, it's like I've used this term on the podcast before to you. If you want to see this episode or any other episode of the Rise Productive podcast, make sure to go and check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else that you can find podcasts today.